Hi everyone, Dogthany Bark Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new collaboration between Billy Woods and Moor Mother, Brass. This record is masterminded by two of the hip-hop underground's most challenging and envelope-pushing voices at the moment, miraculously coming together for 15 whole tracks. Now, taking into account Woods' releases as one half of the Superchron Flight Brothers, as well as Arm & Hammer, the guy has a proven track record of teaming up and getting some good results. As does Moor Mother, whose crossover with Mental Jewelry last year I named as one of my favorite records of 2020, but that was a no-wave style rock album, which is just one of the many genres her sound has embraced in recent years. Dark ambient, noise, jazz poetry, industrial hip-hop. Moor Mother brings an X factor to any record she's involved with because you really don't know what direction she's going to move in next. The track Mom's Gold, right in the middle of this record, is for all intents and purposes a plunderphonic noise piece laced with very bold shots of trumpet improv. Pretty mind-bending. So I went into Brass interested to see, but also skeptical as to how all of this would come together with a collaborator known for his trademark and relatively consistent style. But considering Woods' broad view of music generally, I imagine he would be up for almost anything. And it certainly feels like it because Brass, in my opinion, is one of the boldest releases to the name of both of the artists on this project. Let's start with the chemistry shown on this record. Now, generally speaking, I wouldn't say Billy Woods and Moor Mother are all that similar, but they do both have a shared affinity for dark and unsettling storytelling, and I think on Brass, they really bring out that common ground in each other, with each verse diving into seemingly more esoteric, unsettling, and conscious places. There's a respectable amount of conceptual focus on many of these tracks, too. Gang for a Day, which lyrically takes a very grim look at gang culture from a supremely tragic and deadly angle. Then the track Scary Hour sees one nod after another to all of these modern-day social horrors, whether that be extreme wealth inequality, xenophobia, deportations, kids in cages, deadly pandemic spreading, dead bodies on top of dead bodies, and for some odd reason the welcome to the party refrain at one point on the track almost reminds me of that Pop Smoke song of the same title. I don't know if it's like a direct interpolation or something, but considering how popular that track is, how plugged in culturally these two artists are, and how subtle and creative their references to various things tend to be, I wouldn't be too surprised, though part of me still feels like, I don't know, it's a stretch. Then there's also Chimney, which is an eye-widening track featuring all of these nods to religious lore, burning sinners, imaginary saviors. But Billy Woods and Moor Mother don't just complement each other on this record, they contrast nicely as well. Their most obvious stylistic and lyrical differences being displayed most prominently on the track Giraffe Hunts, I think, which is enhanced by the instrumental shifts on the song, changing back and forth with each verse between these dreamy beds of flutes and also dissonant, deep, ringing tones. Like usual, Billy Woods' lyrical content runs very material, concrete, despondent, a high-definition depiction of the broken, feudal world that he exists in. And while it's clear Moor Mother shares a lot of common ground with Woods ideologically, conceptually her lyrics are much more willing to go in an otherworldly or metaphysical place. So I do love and appreciate both artists' contributions on this project, obviously, but I have to say, Moor Mother is a fucking force on this record. Her ominous poetry, her monstrous and absolutely cold-blooded vocal delivery, she brings a menacing and twisted energy to this LP that I am still wrestling with. And of course, all of this is accomplished with a very eerie set of instrumentals that sound like a harrowing whirlwind of dusty beats, colorful noise, jagged bits of jazz or soundtrack music, psychedelic effects. There's Maroons with its slow, heavy, chunky beats that sound like they've been recorded on a factory floor, glitchy synth leads, droning, dubby trumpet lines, as well as some layered chants and head-bobbing drums on the back end of the track after a beat switch. There's also ARKEOLOGY with its stiff, sequenced hi-hats and kicks that are set to what sounds like rattling bones and small ringing cymbals, plus some heavy hits of analog bass that feel like they're straight out of an 80s sci-fi film soundtrack. Woods and Moor Mother really present a diverse array of chilling and beautiful sounds on this record, from the deep and hypnotic hand drums with an industrial twist on the opening track FURIES, which honestly sounds like a ticket to entry for the spirit journey it feels like this record is going to pull me into. In the end, this track sees an impeccably smooth transition into the beautifully sung chorus on the following track, The Blues Remembers Everything the Country Forgot, which is one of many seamless transitions from one track to another on this project. But this track, in contrast to the opener, is a starry, strange, and gorgeous piece of neo-soul, which shifts into a haunting and sparse set of beats and tones on the verses, where Woods and Moor Mother both deliver these urgent but abstract observations on America's systematic racism, documenting it through music, which I think applies to the very meta title here. There are some absolutely gorgeous guest vocals from Fielded on the track Black Forest as well, though that is no surprise as Woods has crossed over with this artist before on previous material. Then the track Scary Hours features some smooth chorus vocals from John Forte, as well as some dense layers of orchestral horns. This is easily the most cinematic thing, period, I've heard either of these artists on ever, and it goes over great. The final leg of this project is relatively solid too. The song Guinness sees Billy Woods spitting over some bare and weeping tones, with bars that sound like heady ruminations from someone reflecting on just watching the world crumble in a massive riot of some sort. There's also the off-kilter and impeccably trippy Tiberius, which I think I love most for its sonics. There was a great kickoff verse from Elucid on this one, but the disorienting delays and vocal effects really do steal the show, and Moor Mother takes full advantage of them on her verse, where she comes off not quite so much rapping as much as performing some experimental drama piece slash poetry slam. It's me, dummy. As far as downsides to the record, there aren't that many. I mean, I found the production on Rapunzel to be a little underwhelming and colorless in comparison with many of the other beats here. Rock Cried, with its very extensive vocal snippet in the middle of the track, does feature a bit of an odd structure and I think creates maybe too much separation between Woods and Moor Mother. Then the closing track I thought played it a little too mild, especially in the first leg, where the beat as well as Navy Blue just don't come off as strong or as out there as all of the other material here. However, once Moor Mother comes through with these very intense retaliatory bars and we see a beat switch where Billy Woods essentially gives final words for the record, it feels like an epilogue of sorts in a way, where I think he rounds out a lot of key themes for this record and for him personally: family, sustenance, hip-hop culture, and a very justified distrust of white America. And yeah, overall, I have to say I'm very impressed with this LP. I think both Billy Woods and Moor Mother did an incredible job on this thing. I think maybe there are some improvements that could be made on the thematic end, on the conceptual end, in terms of weaving all of these tracks together into a greater tapestry. But regardless, I think both artists bring their best that they could. Production's on point, great deal of the features are on point. For sure, I would say this project is a must for anybody who fancies themselves a fan of abstract hip-hop of any stripe, really. Feeling a strong 8 to a light 9 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like, please subscribe, and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Billy Woods, Moor Mother, forever.